Hello, everybody, and welcome back to RFL Live. This is episode 2, and today I am with Morgs.
Hello, everybody.
Yeah.
Good to be back. Good to see the reception after that first one. So yeah, carry on.
Yeah, no, it was really positive after the first episode of the series, our season preview. But now we've had the first race in Tier 1 and Tier 2, respectively. So this is episode 2. This is round 1, the review, whatever you want to call it. This is the review of the Australian Grand Prix for RFL. So if we go straight into Tier 1, an incredibly exciting race. I'll quickly pop the results on screen now. So obviously it's what you'd expect, roughly a 45-minute race, and it was incredibly close at the front, wasn't it?
My thing just cut out there.
Right, okay.
Sorry. I don't know if I missed anything that you said there.
No, I just quickly said it was incredibly close at the front, wasn't it, for the first race in Tier 1?
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, the gaps on the screen at the moment that everyone's looking at don't really show the whole story, because there was a safety car involved. So in reality, it wasn't as close as that. But as a whole, the race, especially between the Jolly and Danny, they were competitive always. King Liam, before he had his DNF, he was right up there. You've got those three who were incredibly quick all race compared to the rest. They were pulling away, and before that safety car, it was going to be between them. But that safety car really mixed things up, and we'll probably get more into detail on that a bit later on.
Yeah, indeed we will. So what we're going to do during this stream is we're going to go through every single team, every single driver, one by one, and we're going to give a sort of, obviously some drivers did a bit more than other drivers, but the sort of key talking points from that driver's race. So obviously, yeah, you've all had a chance to look at it. We had a couple of DNFs, of course. That's somewhat we'd expect. Obviously not great for them. Is it that easy to bounce back from an early retirement, be all those points behind already at the start of the season?
It can be difficult. Yeah, you've got already 7-8 drivers who entered that race and didn't finish, or at least didn't finish in the points, and that's already quite demotivating, especially if they had high hopes. But there's still 20 more races left to go, and I think the title's still open to anybody at the moment, and we've still got a couple who are away, and they're going to be coming back fighting. And we know that a couple of drivers will be missing races in the future, especially some of the front runners, so anything can change yet.
Yeah, no, of course it can. I'm just going to quickly ask if things are working. Yeah. So, okay, I think this is a good time to move on. Obviously, RFL, actually, I just want to quickly add this season we have the extra point for pole position, which was claimed by Jolly for the first race, so he gets 1 extra point. And the fastest lap point, which was the reason we added it, was A, because F1 had it, and B, because it's that extra incentive for drivers who, let's say, are having not a great race to actually carry on until the end and not, basically that's what I did. So I ended up a bit of a lap down, but I got a point. So there you go. That's why you don't retire. You carry on and stick with it. And that's what I've tried to do with this rule change. So we'll go first off into Mercedes. Not a great race. Chandler, of course. We'll start with Chandler. He was the driver who finished for Mercedes. Finished 9th, but I believe he came home, was it 5th on track?
He finished 5th, yeah. He drove a strong race, I think, in Australia. Very strong. I think he's one to watch this season, but unfortunately, we're not going to really get into the collision now. He was on for potentially a podium, but he was caught in that top 3 in that safety car, not coming into the pits because they missed the pit, when the safety car came out. Yeah. Therefore, he was on older tyres, defending it for his life, really, from Brunson, and had a collision, and that he finished across the line 5th, but he dropped down to 9th. He was seen as fault for that, but I think Chandler is one to watch now for the rest of the season, because that was a very strong performance. It was 4th in qualifying, and he was right up the front almost the whole race. I should have mentioned him in the 3 that I mentioned at the start of the stream, as well as being very, very quick. So Chandler, very, very happy with how he did. He should be happy, except for obviously that incident with Brunson.
Yeah, yeah. And then BMG Nomad, I had a bit of an incident with him. That was my first setback in the race. So basically, we were side by side. He actually didn't come off worse from it, but it did cause the real first talking point of the race, which was a collision that actually did involve 4 or 5 cars. It wasn't caught on stream, but basically, I was on the inside of Damon, BMG Nomad. He turned in, he thought I'd backed out. I hadn't quite. So I spun and we hit a couple of other cars. And from then, of course, he had a bit of a gap. But yeah, he was the first driver to retire. So yeah, obviously, that's not an ideal start to his season, is it?
No, definitely not. But I mean, he was playing himself down before he got in, and he qualified in the top 10
Yeah,
and did a full lobby, or almost full lobby. Obviously, we had 2 missing, which was JJ and Dark Predator.
yeah.
But with an almost full lobby, for someone who's playing down the chance and thinking they're going to be like not struggling, that's a very, very strong performance. And I think Nomad in qualifying pace should be happy. We obviously don't really have a strong idea on his race pace due to going out early. But I think maybe he should be happy with that, and we'll have to see what what's going to happen over the next few races with him.
Yeah, no, of course. So if we move on now to Ferrari, the second team, and it's again. Oh, sorry. Wait, what? Okay, it's Aston Martin 'cause apparently I accidentally swapped it round. So we have Red Bull next. It is Ferrari after this, I've just checked. Um, and yeah, this is still not a good race for them either. Callum G DNF finished 12th in the end. I believe he retired on the last lap of the race, I think. And JJ Rocks, of course, didn't attend, so that's no points at all for the team now.
Yeah, I was expecting, obviously, with JJ not being able to compete, so I don't know what it'd be like for them if JJ was there, but no points for a team I was expecting to be a high midfield team. Not the ideal start for them, but
No.
obviously, I think it was more just Callum was getting used to being in Tier 1 environment and trying to adapt to being in Tier 1, because obviously he's been in Tier 2 for the entirety of except season 1 for the entirety of his RFL career. So I think he's just trying to adapt maybe, and I'm not sure what happened to him on the final lap though, which made him DNF. But it was a decent, quiet performance by Callum, and hopefully next time round that will result in some low points, and then maybe he can push on a bit further. Um, but to be honest, I can say this just because he's a friend, so I can easily say this. His qualifying pace was slower than I expected, but obviously
Yeah.
that he can recover from that, I think, and we'll have to see how he does next time out in Bahrain, which he was strong in the time trials. But again, as we mentioned last stream, time trial does not mean much, especially with the most recent update on Formula One, which changes the handling completely and makes laps about a second quicker. So Callum could well be quick, he could well be slow. We'll have to find out next time out.
Yeah, no, I'm really looking forward to see what this team can do in the next race. Because of course JJ wasn't there; he did not attend the race, but he's back now, so he's going to be in the next race. And Callum G as well. They're 2 quick drives, and I still stand by. They're going to be scoring probably as a team consistent points. So yeah, that's something to really watch out for. I think look out for them in Bahrain because they're still gonna. They're not completely out of it. I don't. I think this is really just a really unrepresentative race for Callum. Of course, he's a really quick driver. I've raced him several times before. And of course, we know him. And yeah, he did qualify lower than I was expecting. So yeah, I think he knows he needs to improve on that, and I fully expect him to do so. So if we move on quickly to Ferrari now, we are actually moving on to Ferrari, and it's an even worse race here. King Liam, DNF, 16th place. I believe he spun or got damage under safety car. Not quite sure what happened there. I'm assuming you probably know. UK Dark Predator also did not attend the race, so it's again 2 non-point scorers there.
Yeah, but again, Dark Predator, who is strong as we saw last season, third place finisher from last season, he just wasn't there, so obviously he can compete. But King Liam, he was quick pretty much all race, and I think it was a safety car incident with, I think it was Ian Boy that put him out of the race. I think it was more of a rage quit, though. I'm not 100% sure on that, so don't quote me, but it could well have been a crash.
I think
I
it was a
know
rage
that.
quit. I agree with that.
So yeah, it was definitely under the safety car, though, all I know, and he definitely had a collision with Ian Boy, and he was blamed for it by the game, got a penalty, and the race pretty much went from good towards competing for a podium. Then as soon as that safety car came out, he dropped down a couple of positions because he had to pit and lost then positions to long first stint of Bumson and Ian Boy, and then obviously that collision, which then put him out of the race. So disappointing for King Liam, but I'm sure with his pace that he's shown in the first race, he'll easily be back and he'll easily be strong, and he will probably get some high points next time out in Bahrain, all going well.
Yeah, I'd expect both of these guys to be scoring points this Saturday. So, but then again, there's a lot of people. There's over 10 drivers in this grid who I'd be expecting to score points, and well, you have an issue there, don't you? So, yeah, it could be a bit hit and miss for some guys this year, and that will be interesting to see. I'd like to think myself that I'm going to be up in the points this week as well, which does add another driver into that list of people you think will be in the points. So yeah, we could end up with quite a, I think it's fair to say, quite a busy midfield for the lower end of the points for most of this season, and yeah, bring it on definitely for sure. So if we move on to Renault, our first team scored double points, I guess. There's one thing to take from it. Vapid Coupe, so 4 finished in 5th place after actually he was 7th on track, but he gained 2 places because of penalties. And me, because I'm really good, I came 14th, and he lapped me, so that was not good. But I got a point for fastest lap, so I think the joke, like I said last week, about me lapping Vapid and winning really did come back and bite me quite hard when I end up 14th and a lap down. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. But I'll just talk about Renault quickly. So obviously you can explain probably what happened in your race, because I just saw glimpses of you being a bit weird. But Vapid, decent performance by him, decent on well, not on debut, but like obviously he's the owner, but like decent for the opening race of the season. 5th position, obviously he finished 7th on track, which is like a lower points, but then the 5th just makes it seem so much better than it was. But I think he had quite a quiet performance in the end, and I think that he'll be a constant, hopefully for his sake, a constant point scorer this season, scoring lower end of the points, and that will put him in a good position at the end of the season. Not obviously for the championship, but for potentially a decent high midfield result. And I think if he can keep consistency this season, he can be very strong.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. Yeah, well, of course, I let Vapid pass because I was being a bit lapped and had no front wing. I thought he was doing quite well. He had a good gap either way, so yeah, it did look like he was having a fairly quiet race. But of course, actually, he made it very clear that I actually nearly crashed. Well, we nearly crashed into each other at turn 1, which brings me on to my race, and that went PG stream actually, so not quite how I want to say it. But yeah, so started off doing very well, qualified not in a good position at all actually. Awful setup, and Damon's alongside me because I'm about 20 km/h down on the straights. He's alongside me, he thinks I've backed out, when in fact that was just my car having an awful top speed. And yeah, we had a bit of a crash, so I was at the back, that wasn't too great, but I was starting to catch up again, because I did have some alright race pace through the corners, the setup was okay. And then Callum G, he pitted. He came out on, I believe he was on the softs, I was on the hard. Oh, he was on the mediums, I was on the hards. He tried to overtake me around the outside of turn 1, and it was deemed a racing incident by the stewards. Fair enough. And that was my race over. I went round, and yeah, that was the race. So I just sort of drove around a bit of a Monaco-style procession until there was a couple of laps left to get the fastest lap, which I only got by a 10th, because, funnily enough, Callum G's AI took me out at the final corner. So that was, yeah, That could have gone a lot worse. It might have ended up with no points, but we'll be thankful, and I think we should move on. I'm fairly sure our next team's Haas, and by looking at the chat, they just want me to skip that, but we're not going to. We're going to talk about it. Yeah, Haas. TOR Pepsi, 11th, and LCR Brumson DNF, 15th place. Yeah, I think I'll let you take this one.
Well, I'll start off with Pepsi because he's the one who finished the race. Quiet, I'll say, because I didn't see much of him, or at least as a commentator. But obviously, I'm quite focused on what's happening right in the front of the field, so you could have had an amazing race. But from what I'm seeing in the chat, apparently there was an incident between the both of them, both Hasses, and on lap 1, which meant that Pepsi had to pit early on, and pretty much that probably put him right at the back and made him struggle to make up any places. And really, on the safety car, put him near the pack. So that's unfortunate for Pepsi, but Brumson, on the other hand, had an amazing race until obviously he DNF'd, which was for the collision with Chandler. Well, with the collision with Chandler. But up to that point, it was a really good race. He qualified 13th place, which is not great, obviously, but that gives him the free choice of tyres. Started on the mediums, went long. Safety car came out at the perfect time, pitted, came out in 4th place, I believe it was, right at the front of everyone on fresh tyres, and he had a free rein to pretty much attack the top 3. It got past Chandler within the lap, and then unfortunately, Chandler then tried to go down the inside. They came together. Brumson had been spun around, and then a couple corners later, he crashed. Not sure whether there was damage or whether it was a rage. I'm not 100% sure, but either way, it was a very strong performance from Brumson up to that point. And if he can, he's got nothing to lose this season because he's definitely not one of the fastest in terms of the championship. No offense meant there for Brumson, but if he can take these risks like he took in Australia to go long, or do it again in Bahrain, and it might work with a safety car coming out at the right time, he could well score some very, very strong results this season because he's got the pace in the right setting at the right time. He's got the pace to win the races or at least get podiums. And if he can, if I don't know what Pepsi's like, if Pepsi can do that also, Haas could be on for a good season.
Oh, actually, we have Chandler saying I didn't try to go down the inside. Oh, yeah, no, we'll leave that. Okay. So we'll leave them arguing.
Read it anyway, just so the stream knows.
All right. So he's just actually one sec. My chat has disappeared. Okay, no, it's back. That's good. Thank you, YouTube. Chandler's just said I didn't try to go down the inside. I got caught out by his earlier braking, and I tried to avoid punting him. And of course, no one's going to deliberately hit anyone. We don't expect that at all. And yeah, that argument's just going to carry on for a little bit in the chat. I think we should probably leave that one. But yeah, controversy down at Haas, controversy down at Mercedes and Haas, a bit of friction potentially between the two. And I can see Brumson and probably Chandler racing each other a couple more times this season, so this could be a rather interesting one. Already some rivalries emerging then.
Yep, and that will be entertaining to follow through the season, but obviously it's like, it is early yet, and there may not be a proper rivalry brewing yet. But yeah, it wasn't, I don't think they're arguing in the chat. As Chandler says, I don't think they're arguing in the chat. It's just, he was just saying he wasn't trying to overtake and correcting me there, not Brumson or anybody else. So, but I think there could be rivalries this season between anybody, but obviously the championship rivals, when it comes to it, will be definite rivals, and that'll be, any rivalry is interesting to see, especially once it's the championship.
And makes it, makes everything a bit more fun as well. So we'll move on to the next team. That's McLaren, and couldn't have gone much better, I think it's fair to say. Actually, unless they got pole and fastest lap, it couldn't have gone much better.
Yep, Danny, very, very strong performance. He was all race one of the fastest. I wouldn't say the fastest because you had times where Jolly was fastest. You've had times where Chandler and King Liam were faster. But Danny he got into the lead quite early on as well, I think, and he held that for a bit over Jolly. I think it was the undercut that got him back into that lead, and then Jolly just couldn't catch him then until a safety car, which actually negatively affected Jolly because it meant he slipped down the order. But we'll get onto him in a minute. But
Yeah.
Danny, very strong, very controlled drive, and I think if he can repeat that, he can be on for a very, very strong season. He's obviously season 2 champion, and it's the first time he's ever won the opening round of an RFL season. So it's looking strong for him at the moment. His teammate, second place, he qualified 12th. He went long as well, and that's where Brumson could have well been. I know Brumson's watching, so sorry for mentioning it, Brumson, but yeah, that's probably where Brumson would have been in second place, which Ian Boy eventually got. Strong drive from Ian Boy as well, going long. But I think he was lucky, I think, with the safety car, because I think he pitted too early. Don't know what you thought if you did watch the stream back.
No, I did. Yeah, I did watch it back. Yeah, I think really quite a few drivers did really lock into the safety car. For example, I would have if I wasn't a lap down. In fact, I thought I would for a bit when the game said I could unlap myself, and then it decided that I can't. So, again, apologies for nearly taking a couple of people out there. Actually, did you know that? You're commentating. Did you see me trying to overtake people under safety car?
I didn't notice, no.
Yeah, no, because I was right at the back, and then the game said pass. So I was like, oh, okay, I didn't know that. I got all the way up to King Liam, who was in like 5th or 6th at the time, and then the game just said, no, that's an illegal overtake. So I was like, okay, I think I'll just go to the back. But yeah, that's beside point. Yeah, obviously. Yeah, a few of those drivers really did luck into the safety car, and it did help their race massively, and of course it does. If you can do that pit stop at the right time, then you're going to be able to jump quite a few people, and it is really effective.
Yeah, but I think even without that safety car, Ian Boy probably would have finished 5th. Looking at the way that race was going, he was on fresh softs. But then the only thing I was worried about is when Brumson comes out on his fresher tyres and push then at the end, he wouldn't have had the cliff fall off that I think Ian Boy would have if the safety car didn't come out, because he was planning on going about 10, 11 laps on those tyres. I don't know whether that would have been able to been able to be possible. He could have struggled towards the end of that stint. So, I mean, that safety car helped him, but that strategy was good and it helped him get into that second place. And he really could have won that race, though, because Danny had a penalty. Ian Boyd didn't, but he just lost a bit of time at the end battling with the Williams, which cost him. He could have won that race, and what a race it would have been if he won that.
Yeah, and given Ian Boy's a really quick driver, I don't want to take anything away from here. But yeah, I think that's going to be realistically, do you think, probably his best chance of winning a race this season?
I'm not sure. To be honest, knowing that he qualified 12th in qualifying makes me doubt he's going to get another opportunity at least without safety cars.
Yeah.
But I don't know if Australia could just be a weak track for him. He's got pace, as we've seen in every single RFL season at the moment, but it just comes in batches. I think it comes in like form spurts where he does really well for a couple of races and tails off. So hopefully he can maintain a good form throughout the season. This is a good start to get into good momentum, to have on these good form months, but hopefully it lasts 20 more races for him.
Yeah. No, you're right there, yeah. We have seen him in the past. He originally came into Tier 1 and absolutely bossed it. It was absolutely brilliant. And then sort of tailed off again, and we've seen that a couple of times. He'll be really good, get 2-3 podiums in a row, and then be nowhere in 8th and 9th and 10th for several... Yeah, so hopefully this form can last for him, because it should be a really good battle between the two. So I think we'll move on to the next team, because I think we've talked about McLaren for long enough here. So, Sports Pezza Racing Point Formula 1 team. Not a good race at all. I think there's nothing wrong with me saying that. Is really not the result they'd want. Rampage, DNF, 17th place. PMT Briz, 13th place. Was a lap down. I'm assuming he had some incidents there.
I'm not sure. I didn't see much of Briz. He had a quiet race. He did have a collision with Callum at one point.
Oh, yes. Was that under safety car restart?
Yes, it was.
Yeah, that was caused by me a bit. I was letting people past.
Oh, okay, yeah. Go.
Yeah, I was letting people past, and they got. I just want to say this because it's not really any of theirs' fault. I just want to say that. It's basically because I slowed down because I was trying to be nice because I was a lap down and I was in the middle of the pack in the safety car and they got a legal overtake. So that is what happened with that crash. I just want to quickly point that out.
Okay, well, anyway, just to talk about them anyway, I wasn't optimistic that they'd get many points, at least for the opening few races. And unfortunately, that they haven't proved me wrong so far. But Briz wasn't given that opportunity to fight in that final safety car due to his collision. But I mean, it was for Briz, at least he finished. And finished okay. Obviously, it's not ideal. For Rampage, obviously, I don't know what happened to him, which made him retire. But it's but they both locked out the last row. That was what was more concerning than anything. They both locked out the last row of the grid. And hopefully that doesn't happen again, because we want to see them up close to the points, and I want to see them probably grab a couple points this season. I want to say more, but at the moment with that opening race, I don't know if I can say more. But I don't know Rampage's race pace. Obviously DNF, and then Briz, he could have well got involved, especially with those penalties that occurred after. He could have snuck some points, and that would have been good for him. But unfortunately, that collision really stopped him finding that final safety car.
Yeah. Of course, Rampage and Briz have both been known to score points before in RFL. In previous seasons, they always have. They've scored points. So, yeah, but they've never been quite the high end, have they? So we can't expect a lot from them. But yeah, they're going to score points this season. I'd like to more than hope, and I do expect that. So, the qualifying pace is something. That could be down to many things, but yeah, of course, locking out the back row is really not what they want. Was it Rampage that actually, or was it Brumpton who caused the safety car to come out?
I think it might have been. I'm not sure who caused the safety car. But it wasn't Brumpton, because Brumpton's collision was after the safety car.
Yes, yeah. Okay, I think it was Rampage then. So in my head, I thought it was Rampage, but then I remembered the Brumpton. No, yeah. Okay, so in that case, yes, Rampage caused all the chaos that ensued after the safety car by having a rather... I can't remember where it was, and I'm not going to pretend that I can. I remember driving past it and going, oh, that's rather unfortunate, but it gave me a position. So, of course, Rampage is going to want to bounce back. He's going to probably want to be upper end of the... Well, lower end of the points, upper end of 11th place onwards. So around that sort of region, mid-pack. And PMT Briz, I think, potentially is going to be wanting a fight for points. So as we move into Bahrain. We'll move on to the next team now, which is Alfa Romeo. And again, it seemed so... in qualifying, it was all going so well. Cleanser, I believe, qualified P2 behind Jolly. And then in the race, just fell down the grid, and I think he was 10th on track, I believe, or 9th. He was 9th or 10th on track, and then gained. He only gained up to 8th place because of penalties for his teammate, who now dropped down to 10th.
Yeah, I mean, he was 9th on track, but then that went down to 10th because Adam had a penalty removed. Then it went up to 8th because Chandler and Anthem had his penalties. So he was a bit up and down in terms of the after race order. But anyway, he had a very, 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 very strong qualifying. But the race pace just wasn't there for him.
Yeah.
And that was extremely disappointing for him. In commentary, I have to be obviously very unbiased.
Yeah.
But I couldn't help feeling gutted for him, and I kept seeing him go down on those first few laps. And he was battling most of the race there with Grumpy Lion. I think Flying Rossi was in there for at least the first stint. So he did have quite a few good battles, but the first few laps were far from ideal, and he slipped down the order very quickly. On his teammate Antsmaz, it was a decent performance. He qualified 5th. He finished 5th on track, but obviously due to the rule that is quite black and white, and we're making it black and white for the season. If you do it, you get a penalty. It's cutting the course in qualifying, which gains you some time, because we want to make sure we don't have people cutting the course in Italy, Mexico to get extra runs. So that's like the main motivation behind it, and anybody we see doing it will get a penalty. And unfortunately, Antsmaz was the first victim of that new rule.
Yeah.
And disappointing for him because he's slipped down from 5th to 10th, and that's 9 points, and that puts him from 15 points behind Danny to now 24. And obviously that can make all the difference towards the end of the season, because I expect Dan Smiles to be right back up there next time out.
Yeah, of course, realistically, we're potentially in for just Jolly joining the top 2 in the championship. That is a potential thing that could happen. We have Ant, Maz and Danny again fighting, and then maybe Jolly, because he's had some really, really good pace. So, of course, Ant Maz, he's lost out on all his points so early on, and yeah, it could really, really come back to bite him at the end of the season. So, simple error, and something that you tend to do in other leagues probably, but yeah, we're stamping it out, and yeah, black and white rule, unfortunately for him, and he did fall foul of it. So yeah, he's probably going to regret that later on. He probably already does. But we'll move on yet again to Toro Rosso here. Very good race, double points finish. Adam P6 and Grumpy Lion P7.
Yep, strong and consistent. I think it's the best way I can say that, because 6th and 7th is a very consistent performance. But they did cross the line at 8th and 10th. So obviously that is a better reflection of their true pace. And that's disappointing for them, because I'm sure that they'd probably be aiming for more than that. But it's a double point finish in the end, and with all the penalties, it goes from being 5 points to 14, I think that's on my head, and that's 9 points gained, which is going to be huge for the constructors. And they're probably the midfield this season, just judging by their pace and how they drove in that opening race. And that's a huge amount of points to gain in your midfield rivals. I think they're going to be competing with the likes of Renault and Red Bull this season, and a strong performance for them was their rivals got no points. So very good from Toro Rosso. I think they're going to be dark horses for some good results this season, along with potentially Haas as well.
Yeah, for sure. They will be. I think, I'll be honest, this was a better result than I was expecting for them. I was expecting 6th and 7th, maybe, and no offence to them, but there's some really quick guys in this grid as well. I thought Lion would have good pace, but I was surprised by Adam to be that high, actually. He's really there this season, and I think, realistically, next race I'd like to be joining that sort of vapid Adam Lion sort of tier, that could potentially be a midfield battle to look out for this season, could it?
Yep. I think the good thing is with these guys is they're so close in pace between Adam and Grumpy Lion, obviously. They're close in pace, and that makes it a very competitive team rivalry, which is entertaining for others, commentators and people watching. But then also you've got them scoring consistent points, and if one of them's not there, the other one's going to score the points. Or if both of them there, they're going to get 2 strong set of results, hopefully. So that's a good thing about being so close in pace, which they are. They can also help each other to improve, because they're probably making mistakes on certain tracks in the same places. Just say, oh yeah, if you take this line differently on turn 10, you're getting an extra 2 tenths, and then they both gain 2 tenths. So they can help each other along, because they're so similar in pace, and that could be a huge advantage for them as a teammate connection there throughout the season.
Yeah, no, for sure. So really interesting to look out for. So if we move on to the last team, I think it's fair with the McLaren team to say very good, no complaints really. Jolly P4 and Flying Rossi P5. It's meant to be Flying Rossi third.
P3.
Yes, sorry,
P3,
that is a typo on my screen. Ignore that. That's meant to say third. I got that quite wrong. Vapid was fifth. Yes, Jolly P4, Flying Rossi P3. Really good race from them. And Flying Rossi is well up in the podium. I think that was probably his first RFL podium, I'd assume.
No, it's not actually. He picked up 2 at the end of last season. So that's now his 3rd podium on the bounce for Rossi.
Wow.
Which is very, very good. He's kicked off as he finished last season, because he joined quite late. But
yeah.
I'm going to say it's in the nicest way possible. The safety car really lucked him into that, because he was fighting for 6th, 7th, 8th place before the safety car. And that safety car put him gave him the opportunity to shoot right up the order, which he capitalised on, which is what you've got to do. You've got to be in the positions to capitalise in these situations. But I don't think Rossi's going to be up there for. I don't think Rossi's going to be up there for the championship, but strong result alongside his teammate Jolly, who could well be on for the championship this season. He showed strong pace in those opening 2 stints before the safety car. He got pole position. I think we would have seen a battle between himself and Danny towards the end of that race if the safety car didn't come out. I think the gaps were closing and Jolly was in second. He did get undercut in that pit stop, I think. I can't remember off the top of my head, so apologies.
I think he did.
I think he got undercut at the pit stops, which not ideal, but second place would have been great. Fourth, he might not be happy with, but he will be right on Danny's tail for most of the season if it's just them two. But there's many others who can come into the championship fight, including maybe Rossi. But I think Rossi is definitely a dark horse, if anything, at the moment.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I was surprised to see Rossi that high, of course, when we finished the race. I mean, he had some really good race pace coming in. Of course, coming into that race, I did quite a bit of practice with him. And he had some really, really good pace. And then it just sort of didn't. Sorry, what? And then I was expecting it to be good. And yeah, he was in top 3 in the end. I was quite surprised to see that because obviously he didn't qualify brilliantly. He was around where I was. So I was thinking, he's probably going to be around the 7th, 8th region. So of course, when that race ended, seeing him up in P3 was a real surprise. So I believe that actually rounds off our Tier 1 review. I'm trying to think if there's anything that we've forgot to mention. We've gone for, I think, all the crashes and all the drivers. So...
Big moments, yeah.
Yeah.
Don't know, chat will obviously correct us if we're wrong. There's quite a few of you in chat at the moment, so if we have missed anything major, just shout at us.
Yeah, give us
and we'll have to talk about Tier 2.
Yeah, we'll move on to Tier 2 now, and I didn't look up on this because obviously R8, I forgot to mention, should be here today. Unfortunately, he is ill, and that's more than fair. We're not going to force him to do this show. So he's our real Tier 2 expert, but fortunately, actually, I couldn't commentate.
Well,
so
I'm going to have to be back in a minute, so you can just introduce everything. Hold on.
Okay, fine. So, basically, R8, not here. He's ill. Moggs has left me now. This is going to end absolutely terribly because I have not much clue what went on in Tier 2, so this is going to be quite funny. But we have the results, so I'll just have a quick rundown of the results of that race. So, BMG Lewis won the race by about 6 seconds ahead of Drift King Pro. And Underkit Cheetah, by the looks of it, he had to make an extra stop, I believe, on probably what he wanted to, so 35 seconds off pace, not ideal. Label Red Devil up in P4, that's brilliant for himself and Tom Gorian in the Haas. Alpha 1-2, I'd also like to mention. Haas 4-5, Label Red Devil and Tom Gorian. About 20 seconds separate those two. Artie in the Racing Point car. Hello. Okay, welcome back. So, Alfa Arti, P6, about 1 minute 10 off the pace in the end. VSR Kubica, P7 in the Ferrari, and P8 for X Joe 576, the Ferrari, P7 and P8. And then the DNFs and the retirements for the race. Thorpsy, Alfster, Scott, Reese, and Parrot Quicks, who all of us had rated incredibly highly on our predictions for this race. So, what went on in that race?
Well, I'm probably going to have to run through not each team, but most drivers individually, because obviously it's difficult to think of everything, but I'll just run through the key events first. So you had the Alfa Romeos on the front row, first and fourth. Then they were 1 and 2 after turn 1 or turn 2. And then between them, it was a battle, really, which was in strategy. You had Drift King Pro going on the 2 stop and Lewis on the 1 stop, so a split strategy for them. They still got the 1-2, but Drift King Pro's 2 stop just didn't work. He didn't get close enough in the end to make a challenge. Cheetah in third place, he had a lap 1 collision with Joe, who really just got caught up with, and then Paraquix and Reese were caught up in that, unfortunate for them. What else? The Hasses and Artie battling throughout the race there. They were very entertaining to watch. But something I do want to mention, which is negative for Tom, he had a couple spins and the Narty got some front wing damage whilst battling, and I think off a lapped car as well. He'll correct me if I'm wrong because he's in the chat. But so unfortunate for both Tom for the couple spins and Artie, then for his damage, which probably cost him a chance at potential podium, which he did get into the podium positions early on in that race. Kubica, and Joe as well, they both had quiet races, but Joe qualified high up. He is one to watch this season. He was right up at the front in qualifying. In the race, though, after his collision early on, he was not really anywhere, but obviously that's understandable. He's a long way down, and it's difficult then to get back up. But Ferrari's both scoring, which is good for them. And then you had Thorpsey. He drove a quiet race as well before crashing out about lap 19. Alster, he also was quite quiet, I think. I'm not really sure what happened to him. Scott, though, he span and lost front wing and therefore retired. And then you had Reese and Parwick caught up in the lap 1 incident. That's a quick summary of everything that happened. So if you have any questions for me or something that I watched, or anything that I watched, just let me know.
So Label, of course, P7 to P4. He was I'm assuming he has no issue with me saying this. He was very much one of the back runners in RFL Tier 1 last season. So going from 7th to 4th, that must have been a good, consistent race for him.
Yep, it was a good race from him, I think. He was constantly on the pace of his teammate, Anati. Obviously, those guys were switching all the time. If anything, in the nicest way possible, I'd say Label was slightly slower, but a strong defence and being more consistent led him to be ahead. But Artie obviously did get caught out by a collision, making him lose his front wing. But Label was definitely more consistent than most people in the race, actually. I think that's fair to say. He made very few mistakes. He was quick. He was consistent. And I think he could well get some strong results this season. I don't think he'll be competing for the championship, but a couple of podiums is easily possible, I think, for the Hungarian driver.
Obviously. It's good to see him up there. I think potentially he's going to be in for a podium or two this season, and I'd personally love to see that. After all the effort he has put in, I know he's put in. Tom Goyen, do you think he's potentially been quite disappointed with that result then?
I think so. I don't know. It's a good point for Haas, but I think he'll be slightly disappointed because he was spinning a lot, and I think he spun twice. I think that we caught on stream. He could have spun many more times. I'm not sure, but he could have got on the podium, I think, without those spins, and he'll be disappointed because Cheetah was only a few seconds at his podium by 5 seconds. And Tom had the measure of his teammate by 5 seconds before his second spin, I think it was. So therefore, I think he could have got onto the podium, but he missed out due to a spin, and that's the problem. He's got to get this consistency going, which his teammate has. So we'll have to see what happens between the two Haas boys. But I think that's going to be a rivalry between the two Haas's that goes on for the whole season. And speaking of rivalries, I think Alfa Romeo, they've got a good rivalry going up because I think Drift King Pro was the leader for the first laps, and then Lewis tried to undercut him. But then Drift King Pro switched to the alternate strategy of a soft, medium strategy, which kept him out in the lead. Obviously, the provisional lead anyway. Then he pitted again, which then put him about a pit stop behind. He didn't pull away as much as I expected in that second stint. And then that final stint, he just couldn't catch up. So I think he realised he made a mistake on the strategy. But I think he has the pace over his teammate at least on that race, and he should have won that race, I think. But obviously he didn't, and it'll be interesting to see now if he can strike back next time out in Bahrain, and if Cheetah can get involved as well.
Yeah, for sure. So basically, after that first race, is there potentially signs, especially if that made people retiring, where your finishing position might not depend too much on pace, but rather just your consistency of being able to not put it in a wall, not spin, and make any of those major errors. So maybe your pace is half a second to lap off, but you're not losing that 10 seconds for a spin or so.
I think potentially, yes. I think potentially you've got the fact that, at least for the midpoints anyway, I think if you have consistency, you will score points, I think, in almost every race at the moment.
Yeah.
But obviously you're not going to win or get podiums without consistency. And you're not going to get it, though, without speed as well. So it's a balance now in terms of that. So you got, points are probably just based on consistency and who can keep everything consistent, not crash out. But then you got the top position where I think the drivers are going to have to push to get those top positions and potentially take a few more risks, or just be consistently quicker. That's the easier way you could say.
Yeah.
So I think it's just going to really depend.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So, is there much more to look at for tier 2?
I don't think so.
No, I can't think or see anything on there. So we'll move on to our predictions.
Is this a review or the? Oh yeah, this is a review. Okay,
yes.
good.
So yeah. So our predictions. So this is our predictions for the Australian Grand Prix for each tier. I put Jolly as winning. He got pole, so it's close enough. I put Danny P2. He won, so it's close enough. And I put King Liam P3, who was running well and could have potentially got a podium if it wasn't for the safety car damage. So not too bad for myself in tier 1 there, although none of them were actually right, but it was close enough. Tier 2, S. Perez. I don't think he actually raced in the end, did he? I didn't see him on...
No, he didn't race this week, but he might well be back.
Singing the boss as well. Yeah, he didn't race, so I didn't get that.
No,
right.
He's BMG Lewis.
Oh, is he?
He's changed his game.
Right. Okay, I didn't know that. Yeah, he's very quick, so I'm putting him up there for my Bahrain prediction as well. I was racing him earlier, and he was very good. Paraquix P3, of course, he retired from the race. My one to watch was Grumpy Lion, and I think Lion did very well in that race, so I think it was close enough. But it was more one to watch. Yeah. I think that's fairly accurate. So your one, I believe you can see it on your screen. So if you fancy discussing
I'll
that.
go. So my tier 1 was a complete disaster. None of the top 3 that I predicted were on the podium. Jolly, who I predicted P1, was P4. Antsmaz was P5 on track, but P10 in the end. So I mean, I was gonna go for a little trend there, and I realised King Liam DNF'd in P16. So actually, all my drivers finished in that order. It's relative to each other, 6 positions apart. So Jolly P4, Antsmaz P10, and King Liam P16. So I guess that's a little connection.
Yeah,
but
you got the order right.
But yeah, I wasn't that good.
No.
Tier 2, Kingley Diagram didn't race, Esperez also didn't race, and Paraquix retired in first lap, so that was a complete disaster. But also, because 2 of them didn't race, I'm not kicking myself too much about that one.
Really,
And then the one to watch was Clenzo. I think I made the right choice on that because he was definitely the one to watch, as you saw in qualifying.
If he can improve the race pace, he's up there this season. There's no doubt about that at all. And apparently he has some exceptional pace for Bahrain as well, so watch out for that when you're commentating. He's about on his best run on the mediums is about 2 tenths quicker than mine, which I was fairly surprised by because I thought mine was absolutely exceptional. So yeah, definitely watch out for him. Alright, Kay, he did his predictions as well. King Liam first, of course, DNF from the race, P16. Jolly, who finished P4, but he said would put P2. And Antsmaz, of course, finished P10 on penalties. In the end, he said he'd finish 3rd. So yeah, none of that's right at all. So that's a bit of a kick for sure. Tier 2, Paraquix, DNF'd. He put as P1. Shazoo Schweiz, don't believe raced. And Ziggy the Boss ended up winning, so I think he did. Yes, he did. Or BMG Lewis. So, yeah, none of that's right either. I don't think any of us actually got any correct finishing positions.
It's a good start.
Yeah, it's a good start to the season. I think I can say I won tier 1. sort of. Despite the fact one of mine retired, the other one was off the podium, and the other one won, and I got none of them right. Yeah, and he said one to watch would be Callum G. Definitely was one to watch for me, because if I saw he was going to turn in early and hit me, I would have backed out of that. So I'll keep an eye out on him, that's for sure. We'll move on to the preview for the... Actually, we'll quickly do predictions. I haven't got a graphic for this, but I did see you put yours in the chat earlier. We don't have R8s because he's ill and probably in a bed somewhere. If you want to quickly start off with who you said would be... And we have also a fun little competition of how many pit stops there will be in Tier 1 and Tier 2 in the races. So if you just want to quickly go through your selection.
Yeah, we'll be changing this every single week, pretty much. We'll be doing something a bit different. So you got pit stops this week. You might have safety car laps next week, even though that safety car is not always reliable.
It's probably
so that might not come out. But I think we're going to make sure we do these weird predictions to spice it up a little bit. So I'll go through mine. I'll start off with Tier 2. So I've predicted that in third place, I'll go third first.
Yep.
I'll put BMG Lewis, the winner of Australia.
Yep.
And then his teammate will be in second place, Drift King Pro. And then Cheetah will win the race ahead of the two Alfa Romeo. So it's pretty much the same podiums we had in Australia, but just flipped around.
Yeah,
so you got Cheetah first, Drift King Pro second, and BMG Lewis in third. Tier 1, I predicted Jolly will win, so hopefully he'll actually do that this time and not let me down. I predicted Danny would come second place, the winner of last time out, obviously, and King Liam will come third position. So hopefully he doesn't rage quit again, like he did last time out.
Sure, yeah. And then you said there will be 42 pit stops through both tiers for this weekend. So... for Tier 2, for me, I think I'm going to go Cheetah winning, because he's incredibly quick driver. And I think BMG Lewis is going to be second and Drift King third, so I'm just basically swapping around BMG Lewis and Drift King from yours. So my top three is Cheetah, BMG Lewis and Drift King. For Tier 1, I fully agree with your top three. I'm being incredibly boring here, but I can see Jolly winning this race, I can see Danny coming P2, and I can see King Liam coming home in third. So
I've already taken that prediction, so you're changing it now.
Right, okay. Can I put me winning again by a lap? No, we're not doing that again, because I got lapped last time. Actually, you know what? Just for the sake of it, let's chuck in... I genuinely can't think of anyone who's going to get a podium. Right, we're going to swap round King Liam and Danny. I'm going Jolly, King Liam, and Danny. Because I don't think Danny likes Bahrain much, actually. I think he did say that. It's not one of his stronger races. And I've put for pit stops 47. So I'm predicting 47 pit stops. Morgs is predicting 42. And there you go. So...
That's between the two tiers, by the way, just so everyone knows.
Yeah, not in one race, that is through both tiers. We could do whoever's closest or whoever's right, because...
Closest.
Okay, yeah. I was going to say, because we're never ever going to get this right. So we'll move on to the preview for Bahrain. Again, you can tell I didn't have much time to do the graphics for this. I am on holiday, and I'm kindly taking a good hour out of my time to do this. So, no one question my dedication, I say. So, of course, first Grand Prix was held in 2004. This will be with Tier 1 and Tier 2. It'll be our 6th and 7th race here at Bahrain. Of course, Season 1 winner was CRL Cal. Season 2 Tier 1 winner was Boris Letterbox. He had a very, very good race that day, I seem to remember. Season 2 Tier 2 Cheesy Train won the race. Season 3 Tier 1, incredibly dominant performance from the incredibly dominant man LCR Leopard. There wasn't much doubt he was going to win that race. Season 3 Tier 2 was JJ Rocks as well, and that's meant to be a Z, I appreciate, but it's not. So yeah, JJ, of course, now in Tier 1. LCR Leopard not here anymore, so these wins cannot be defended for Tier 1 or Tier 2, so we're going to have new winners to add to this list. So what do you think is the key thing to look out for coming into this race weekend?
I I'm not sure you shot that one on me. I'm not sure, to be honest.
It is a harsh
There's
one.
many things to watch for, to be honest. You've got now the drivers who did well last time out in the races. Can they repeat what they did last time out? And the drivers who did poorly, can they recover and get back to how they should be doing?
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see. As Arcee points out in chat, there's very likely we're going to see some new winners of this race because everyone's left this league now except JJ Rocks. But obviously he's now in Tier 1, so there will be a new Tier 1 winner at least this weekend, like there would have been in Australia, and that's going to be interesting to watch out for as well. So a brand new RFL Bahrain winner will be coming this weekend.
Yeah, and that would be something really interesting to see. So, we're going to be adding to our list, and that's absolutely nothing wrong with that at all. We love to see that different winners. I'd say key corner it's got to be everyone's favourite downhill left-hander as well. Actually,
never mind.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay. My key corner to look out for, downhill left-hander, turn 10. It's not fun. Easy to look up. Easy to hit the person. Actually, I believe Rampage in Season 2 broke my front wing because I was following someone. He broke early. I broke early. Rampage wasn't expecting it. Hit the back of me, and I smashed straight into the person in front of me, and we all had damage, I believe, at the end of it. So it's really a carnage corner, especially in the early laps when you're really close or battling. It's easy to lock up with more tyre wear. You can run out wide and really lose quite a bit of time. So, your key corner.
Well, it's just turn 1.
Yeah.
Not to be boring, but that's where 90% of the overtakes will happen.
Yeah.
You've also got turn 4, I think it is, where the overtakes can happen.
Yeah.
And then obviously the final corners. But really, that turn 1 is going to be where most overtaking happens, most action happens as well, because the pit exit obviously feeds into turn 1, and you can see some cars coming towards turn 1 together at completely different speeds, like we've seen many times in the past. We've famously, in real life, Maldonado and Gutierrez back in 2014.
Spectacular.
So hopefully we see nothing like that this weekend. Probably not because of the physics on the F1 game, but yeah, that corner is going to be where most overtaking happens, the most action happens in the race.
Yeah, I fully agree with that as well. So we have our carnage corner, turn 10, and basically the action zones, which are going to be turn 1, turn 4. And really look out for that, because DRS is really hard here. If you can't break DRS, you're probably going to get overtaken early in the race. I've done 3 or 4 practice races already now, and if you cannot break that 1 second barrier by the start of lap 3, you're probably going to get overtaken. You really do need to have that pace advantage. If you're in a DRS train, that's probably more useful than anything. But of course, if you're running by yourself and you cannot break that 1 second mark, you're probably... You're going to go down. You're going to be relegated a place unless you're one hell of a defender and just chuck them off the track. So, really look out for.
Yeah, I agree with you there. You've got that DRS can be powerful, especially considering you're going to have 3 of them around this track, and that middle one down between turn 10 and 11, just giving you that push, really. It's not really an overtaking opportunity since you lose so much time in the dirty air in that middle sector. That's the one that gives you the push down, keeps you close, and then you've got the straight, which you can get some slipstream on before the first corner, and the start-finish straight, so you can get DRS then. And that's so powerful. And potentially in turn 4 as well, we could see some overtakes, because maybe it's not 90% turn 1. I think that's 70%, and I reckon the rest might well come at turn 4, because then you've got turn 1 where you'll be nice and close, stick close through turn 2, 3, go up the hill, and you'll be right behind them towards the hill. Maybe go down the inside, maybe pop it around the outside, and the move can be done.
Yeah, for sure. It's a good racetrack, this. I used the word race as the key part in that. You really, really can do that. And the battling that you can have at the Bahrain International Circuit here is absolutely amazing. This is potentially one of the best tracks on this game for battling, surely.
Yep. I agree with that. You've got on the game, it's obviously much easier to battle, I think, than in real life.
Yes, yeah.
And we get excellent races here in real life with lots of battling, so it will obviously happen in the game. So this weekend will be immense. I think
hope so,
you'll see
yeah.
a lot of battling, lots of side-by-side action, and potentially a couple incidents here and there which could end up being controversial, especially if it happens to a front runner of either tier. So I'm really looking forward to this.
Yeah, no, so am I. I'm hoping I can put on a good show for you as well in Tier 1, and I'm hoping the Tier 2 guys put on a rather good show for me, because I should be hopping back in the commentary box with R8 as well, permitting his throat is a little bit better. Of course, he missed tonight, if you can't tell and didn't hear me say it earlier. So yeah, be sure to hop onto both of them. If you got any sort of anything you'd just quickly like to discuss or mention before we wrap up?
I don't think so.
No, I think we've covered most
I think we mentioned
things.
everything now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, thanks everyone for sticking with us again, and the support's been really good from the first episode. Let's keep it up. If you did like it, just tell us it is nice, or follow us on Twitter at RFL F1 League and tweet to us. We'll be sure to like or retweet it or whatever. So yeah, thank you everybody for watching. It's going to be a really good race. Tier 2, 7 PM. Tier 1, 9 PM. Saturday night. Be there. And I don't want to say it, but be square. Yeah, hopefully, I can actually get some legitimate points. Hopefully we have some amazing racing, and hopefully a couple less retirements, and a lot more carnage. So, goodbye. Yeah, Bonjour, say goodbye as well.
No.
Okay.
I don't like the
any of
audience.
you.
So
Yep.
say bye.
He doesn't like any of you, so you don't deserve a goodbye. I mean, I'd be offended by that personally, but tweet your hatred towards him. It will be funny. Goodbye, everyone.